Welcome to Presidio Bitcoin. Thank you all so much for being here and helping us launch. Isn't this just an absolutely incredible day? It's so exciting, not just today for the incredible programming that we have in store for you, but really bringing Bitcoin back to the Bay here at Presidio Bitcoin. It's so nice that we're going to have a place where Bitcoiners can meet and advance Bitcoin from right here. And this could not be a better location, could it? For those of you who don't know, the Presidio used to actually be an army base. Currently, it's ran by the Presidio Trust, which is federal parkland. And we have these incredible sweeping views of the Golden Gate Bridge. And we're right here in Silicon Valley. I don't think you could create a more poetic or perfect place to be advancing Bitcoin day after day than right here at Presidio Bitcoin. Anyway, my name is Alex. You've all gotten an email from me. On a regular day, I have the distinct honor and privilege of being the lead here at Presidio Bitcoin. But today, I will be mission control for launch. So we have a fantastic program coming up. First, we're going to hear from founding donor and board member Mark Casey, along with board member Haley Burko. And they're going to share more about the story, the why. How did we get here, step by step, brick by brick, and really the vision of Presidio Bitcoin. Following that, we'll hear from Rod Rowdy of Bitcoin Park to share more about the value that these types of places, these physical Bitcoin places, provide for the community. And certainly all that value we hope to create here too at Presidio Bitcoin from right here in the Bay. After that, we're gonna have a fantastic panel on the value of open source with Jack, David, Alex, and moderated by Presidio Bitcoin board member Steve Lee. Please give a round or a warm welcome to Mark Casey and Haley Burko, two incredible people making this all possible.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Thank you for the introduction, Alex. And let me just reiterate, welcome to Presidio Bitcoin. Here on this beautiful sunny day with a perfect view of the Presidio and the Golden Gate Bridge. I woke up this morning in London to horizontal rain and it was 42 degrees. And I'm just impressed that it's still the month of February here and we get this. I thought what I would do with my 10 minutes is just introduce myself to people who don't know me, say a little bit about how Presidio Bitcoin came to be and share a vision for it. And then there's also a few thank yous I wanted to express. So as I mentioned, actually, you know what I should really do before I even start that is if you're worried about this bandage on my head, I just want to put you at ease. This is an injury I sustained on Tuesday. I woke up and opened my phone and went to the usual apps, and I was unfortunately not able to dodge a rapidly plummeting Bitcoin price, which wounded me. The doctor who administered to me told me that when the bandage comes off, I am going to have a scar. But it's going to go away over time. And to translate that into kind of Bitcoin chart speak, I think what he meant was this could really look like the post-Mt. Gox crash when I take the bandage off. But if we zoom out and look at the 15-year chart, it won't be visible at all in time. Now, there are probably people in this room who are thinking, you know, Mark, that's true if it's the chart with the linear y-axis. But if it's the chart with the log axis, you're going to have a very jaggedy scar forever. And you know what? If you're thinking that, you're right. And also, you're so welcome here because you're exactly the kind of Bitcoin obsessed nut we built Presidio Bitcoin to host. So a little bit more about me. I moved to the Bay Area in the late 90s after growing up in the Midwest and the West Coast. I live in Woodside now with my wife, Carrie, who's here in the purple shirt. And with my two teenage sons who mercifully have not yet figured out that the most effective way to express teenage rebellion against their dad would be to tell all their friends they're putting their college savings money into Ethereum because it's ultrasound money. So that's, I guess, maybe lucky or good parenting on my part so far. By day, for the last 24 years, I've been an investment analyst and a portfolio manager at a large mutual fund company that manages $2.5 trillion for about 30 million American families. And the company is media shy enough that I'm going to refrain from mentioning its name because I can't remember if we're recording this, but I'm going to refrain from mentioning their name. But if you want to find out which one it is, what you can do is you can just go look at which institutions bought MicroStrategy, which was was then called MicroStrategy, after Michael Saylor had his two brilliant insights about public company investing in Bitcoin. The first insight, of course, was nothing's going to beat Bitcoin, so you should buy it. And the second insight was the only way to beat Bitcoin is with even more Bitcoin, but with intelligent leverage. So I was a prepared mind for that type of thesis and invested in the company, and really enjoyed for a couple weeks after our disclosure became made public, watching people on Twitter ask questions like, who is this degen at a mutual fund company? FOMOing into this stock. So that's a little bit about me professionally. I've been a Bitcoiner since 2014 when I finally decided to take the advice of my friend Wences Casares, who's in the back here. Wences gave me the best investing advice I ever followed, which was you should buy as much Bitcoin as you can sleep well at night with. You should promise you won't sell it for 10 years. And if you have a spreadsheet you use to track your assets and liabilities, you should keep the Bitcoin in it at the lower of cost or market. And that way, if it goes up, you won't be tempted to sell too early. I followed the advice. It was incredible advice. I'm forever grateful for it. And my plan is to keep following that advice. So that's a little bit about me. About Presidio Bitcoin, how it came about was about a year ago, I went to an event hosted by John Pfeffer. It was an in-person gathering of Bitcoiners. And at that event, I met Alex Morkos and Adam Jonas, who work at Chaincode in New York City, the Bitcoin lab there. And I also met Gloria Zhao and Michael Ford, who work at Brink, the Bitcoin lab in London. And around that time, I had been reading about Rod Rudy's Bitcoin Park in Nashville, which is a thriving Bitcoin community. And I was sitting there thinking, you know, I live in the San Francisco Bay Area, and we have the world's greatest concentration of software development talent and the world's greatest concentration of tech entrepreneurship, and the cypherpunk movement started here, and we don't have a Bitcoin space of any type. And I mentioned to Adam Jonas from Chaincode that I thought it would be cool if there was something here for Bitcoiners. And has anybody who's met Adam Jonas? Yeah, so in his kind of blunt and direct way, he said, well, you know, you can do something about that. And so I decided I would do something about it. And what I did was I got home from the trip and I called Steve Lee, because Steve, when I thought about it, was the Bitcoiner I knew who was the most connected in the San Francisco Bay Area and incredibly thoughtful. And I thought, Steve will know if this is a good idea. So I spoke to Steve. He said, yeah, that's a great idea. I've wanted to do something like that for a long time. So I hung up the phone and thought, cool, Steve likes the idea. I wonder what I should do next. But who's worked with Steve on any kind of project before? Let me see. Yes, you guys know what happened. I didn't have to do anything next. My phone just started blowing up. The next thing you know, I'm in like multiple Signal groups full of Bitcoiners who are like brainstorming ideas. They're inviting me to a dinner at Max Webster's house. There's like a Google spreadsheet that Haley Burko and Martell Fox are like modeling out the financials of this kind of thing. There's real estate listings showing up on a different spreadsheet. There's a Google Doc with to-do items. None of them for me. It's all for everybody else. And so I just got project managed into this by Steve. And, you know, soon enough, we were shopping for locations and we came upon this place. Now, we originally had the idea of having two entities here at Presidio Bitcoin, but for various reasons, they ended up being separated. So I'll just take 2 minutes to tell you about localhost research. Localhost research is going to be in Palo Alto, and it is inspired by Brink and Chaincode. It's a 501c3 charity. It's a Bitcoin employment lab. The idea is to extend the careers of existing core devs and to attract new developers to Bitcoin by paying them salaries and giving them a workspace and a team to collaborate with. The executive of that is a guy, JD, and many of you probably know him from the work he's done with bitdevs.org and New York BitDevs the last dozen or so years. And we kind of originally thought that that was going to be here in Presidio Bitcoin, but for reasons related to the locations of important people who are required to make these work, we decided to put it down in Palo Alto. We have 4 full-time Bitcoin devs starting there next month. We hope to get that number up to 10 in the next 3 years. I would imagine the localhost people will love coming up here to hang out with everyone who's here. And I wouldn't be surprised if at some point JD finds somebody who the only reason they wouldn't be a full-time Bitcoin developer is because they don't want to get all the way down to Palo Alto. So hopefully then they could work out of Presidio Bitcoin all the time, but just be employed by localhost. So what's here at Presidio Bitcoin is a few things. One, it's kind of a WeWork for Bitcoiners. So people investing in Bitcoin startups, people doing Bitcoin startups, people writing software related to Bitcoin, doing education, podcasting, anything like that related to Bitcoin. So we're part WeWork. We're part an event space. And we hope to have lots of events. We, recently, Alex Gladstein's Human Rights Foundation last week, I think, had a class of people here learning how to take advantage of Bitcoin censorship resistance and confiscation resistance in the face of hostile governments. I don't know if Professor Korok Roy is here from Texas A&M. Nice to meet you. He was emailing me about wanting to do some kind of seminar or teaching about Bitcoin and AI. We would love to help with something like that. Hong is here from Bitwise. I think Hunter and you were thinking about maybe having some sort of seminar or get to know you for finance professionals who invest in Bitcoin. We'd love to help with that too. And we'd love to be a place where people do these things, but we'd also like to help organize them. My hope is that we will get to know all the Bitcoiners around and we'll be able to help give advice on who might come to this and use some of our marketing that we hope to build up to attract people to your events. And we will do this all for the low, low price of very little because this is it's not a charity, but it's a not-for-profit organization. We don't want it to lose a fortune, but it doesn't have to make money. So we're charging just enough to sort of like be respectable and not be taken for granted. But our price will be low. So we want to be an event space. And lastly, we want to just be a community. There's so much synergy that comes from meeting people in person. Honestly, if I hadn't gone to that thing at John Pfeffer's, I don't know if I would have ever called Steve and said, hey, why don't we do something in the San Francisco Bay Area? And so we're hoping that as people work here and get to know each other, it will accelerate the pace at which they find ways to advance Bitcoin. So I want to wrap up with just a few thank yous. Wences, I already thanked you for introducing me to Bitcoin. I also want to thank you for being such a generous sponsor of Presidio Bitcoin and local host, in addition to many other things you do to support Bitcoin. So thank you very much. Steve, you have so many gifts. You are so blessed with leadership ability, communication skills, interpersonal skills, your huge network, your incredible project management plans, and you really made this happen. I don't think it could have happened without you, so thank you very much. Alex Zukauskis, everyone should get to know Alex as he's running the show here. We're so grateful for the work you've already done, and I'm personally very grateful for the way you found us, which is Alex developed a habit of going to LinkedIn every few weeks and just typing the word Bitcoin in to see if any jobs popped up, and sure enough, ours popped up. I knew we were going to hire him when, literally within minutes of meeting him, he said something about, some paper that the European Central Bank had published this the day before, and I was like, all right, this guy's a Bitcoiner, he's on it. And finally, Haley, who I'm about to introduce you to. Haley is I view you as the co-project manager on this. You did more than anybody to put this place together. I know it was a huge amount of work, frankly, amounting to probably more than a full-time job in addition to your other job at times. So thank you very much. And then thank you all. And hopefully you guys will find ways to make use of the community. And I just have a little token of appreciation for the various people I thanked. And so I'll show it to you. All right, so I got some little plastic models made of our building. So this is the Presidio Bitcoin. It has, I don't know, probably not our actual logo, but whatever it was like 4 days ago when I needed the logo or else. So Haley, this one's for you. And let me turn the microphone over to you.
Well, thank you so much, Mark. This is beautiful. I will just briefly introduce myself and kind of the process we went about building the space, and then we'll let it go to the other speakers. But yeah, my name is Haley. I am on the Spiral team. Usually, most of my time is spent on creative marketing projects that help make Bitcoin appear more fun, friendly, and accessible to a much broader audience, which, of course, involves a lot of plushies and puppets. So if you missed Biddy by the entrance, please take this opportunity to get a selfie with him later because he's quite busy and he's on a schedule. So, but yes, more recently, I have been mainly focused on where we're all standing here today. As Mark mentioned, the foundation for Presidio Bitcoin started about 8 months ago when a group of Bay Area Bitcoiners got together who were so inspired by Bitcoin Park and hubs like that are doing such amazing things to foster community and connection. And we honestly felt FOMO here. We also were asking, how can we get more Bitcoiners out to the West Coast? How can we grow, foster new talent? So thanks to our really kind donors, Wences and Mark, kind of two ideas, Presidio Bitcoin and local hosts, came out of that, which we're very thankful for. I am a local Bay Area native, and now I live in San Francisco, so I love this city, so I'm even more excited to gather more people here and show it off. So kind of how we all started Presidio Bitcoin is beyond all the, signal chats and aggressive project managing that I have picked up Steve's habits too. So maybe we were a little quick on things. But it was really important to us to kind of talk to other people and organizations that have done similar things like Presidio Bitcoin, so like Bitcoin Park, all the different foundations, and kind of learn from them about what has worked, what should we take into consideration when we build this space. And one of the things that we really learned was that beyond community, events were really important, which we're going to be doing a lot more of. So this is kind of our, fourth event here, and that's why we have this like flexible event space. So the co-working aspect of this will be kind of members only, but the event side will be more public facing and opportunity for like more Bitcoiners to come in here to learn, to connect. And so we're really excited about the events aspect. Another thing that we learned along the way was that we needed a lot of furniture, which we're very thankful to Block actually for donating pretty much like 90% of what's in this room today from an office that was closing down. So that was really, really kind of them, and also made it we could get started quickly because furniture has very long lead times. We ordered like one coffee table that's taken forever. So we're very thankful for that. One other aspect that we discovered along the way was due to our size and our also unique location of being very close to Silicon Valley, but also in San Francisco with Bitcoiners, was we had an opportunity to create content to even broaden our reach further. So we built an in-house recording studio, and we're already home to 2 podcasts, one of which you'll see here today. They're launching soon, PBJ. But also I'm starting a podcast called 21 and 21, where I'm going to bring visitors. If you swing by the space, I'm going to ask you 21 questions in 21 minutes. So please reach out if you are in town and you want to be featured, and I'll interview you. And just like really quick, so we've been in beta for about 3 months now, since November, and we've, beyond a couple LinkedIn posts and tweets, we've done 0 marketing, and we've already had 100+ people come to the space. Many people have reached out. We've hosted 2 events. We had a BitDevs here that had 50 people, and it was really fun and exciting. And then we had HRF people. So just basically from word of mouth, it's been exciting to see like what we already are and what we will become. We even had 2 people specifically move to San Francisco for Presidio Bitcoin. So we're pretty bullish that San Francisco is going to have a lot more Bitcoin energy. And then finally, we're publicly launching today, and people signing up for memberships. We've been in beta, so memberships start in March 1st. We've already had a group of founding members who have committed to making PB their second home. Many of them are here in the audience today. If anyone wants to just put their hand up. So I really encourage you all, the remainder of the evening, to talk to those members and learn about the incredible projects that they're building. This is just the beginning, and we're excited for so much more to come.